Welcome to Mastering Your Financial Life, hosted by Judy Heft, the founder and CEO of Judy Heft and Associates Financial and Lifestyle Concierge. This year, they're celebrating 26 years in business. In every episode, Judy interviews professionals who help others successfully manage their financial lives. You can find this show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. Judy is the author of 2 books, How to Be Smart, Successful, and Organized with Your Money for a Better Today and Tomorrow, and her latest book, Mastering Your Financial Life Cycles, How to Successfully Manage Money in Every Decade of Life. You can read chapters of her books and catch prior episodes of this show at www.judithheft.com. Now here's the host of Mastering Your Financial Life, Judy Heft.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome. So I think this is our 18th episode. I'm kind of losing track of the numbers because we've been doing so many and they're so much fun. I'm not really keeping track of how many we're doing, but I do think we're at 18. And I'm pleased today to have my guest as Judi Otton. Judy is the founder and CEO of GrowthCast. And what that is Judy helps business owners become more fiscally fit and have a better handle on their finances. You know, many business owners really are great at what they do, but they're not really great keeping their books. And, you know, that's something I know too, because we work with a few small businesses that, you know, they're wonderful business people, but their books are a mess. So I'm happy to have Judy here and we can talk a little bit about that and how she can help you as a kind of like a fractional CFO. Is that correct, Judy? Is that what you are?
That's correct. Absolutely.
Good. Great. So did I leave anything out? Is there anything you want to add to that, or how did you get started?
Oh, that's a great question. So I owned a business before this where I was the CFO. And like many businesses, as our business grew, we had cash flow needs. You know, we hired people and we paid them like you pay your W-2s every 2 weeks. But we worked with big companies like Pitney Bowes and ASML, and they paid in 75 or 90 days. So as we were growing, we were floating all these salaries, and we got to one of those, oh shoot, how am I going to make payroll moments, like many companies do, because I wasn't paying enough attention to the cash flow. So I built myself a little cash flow forecasting tool that avoided that incident from ever happening again. I left there the end of 2012, and I rebuilt this tool as a SaaS product. And all the financial professionals I talked to said, oh my God, every business owner needs this. But I got to market, and the business owners, they didn't want to learn and maintain another piece of software. But you know what? They needed help. So I did manage to have about 50 clients on my platform, but they needed additional help. So I started doing a little consulting with them, helping them with budgeting, helping them understand their cash flow, helping them get financing, and discovered that I absolutely loved it. I loved working with my clients. I loved really facilitating their success, and I loved solving their problems.
That's great, Judy. I can hear your passion when you're talking about it. That's so exciting. So yeah, I know, you know, it's great to give people the tools, but a lot of people need accountability around it, and they need help, and they need someone to reach out to and ask questions about, because like we talked about earlier, business owners are good at what they do, and they're not always good at the bookkeeping piece. I was talking to someone the other day. He's a cameraman, and he has his own business, and he also rents out his equipment when he's not using it, and his books are a mess, and he has no idea where to begin. And he has a bookkeeper, but I don't think they're really doing what he needs. So he needs somebody. He could probably use someone like you to help him know how to forecast and how to plan and how to work things out. It's so important. You know, a lot of lawyers are like that too.
Well, yes, very much so. Very much. So I don't do the bookkeeping, but I work with bookkeepers. One of the big differences between me and bookkeepers and accountants is that the bookkeepers and accountants are very focused on what happened last month, last quarter, last year. And I'm very focused on next month, next quarter, next year. So that historical information is important, and it's important to get it right. And I definitely do work with bookkeepers on, how to put it in, and especially when we're looking at profitability by line of business or by product, you have to put the transactions in so that you can measure that project or you can measure that line of business. And then we use that information to say, okay, this is wildly profitable. This is not. Let's sell more of this wildly profitable stuff.
No, it's true. And you need to look at the past in order to project of what you need what's going to happen in the future, so you can make your plans. So if your business isn't doing well, you need to know what's going on so you can, make better plans for the following year. So that's so important. That's so great that you can help people like that. So what are some of the kinds of companies that you're working with now, Judy?
I work with across industries. Most of my companies tend to be between about 1 and 15 million in annual revenue, but I do work with some smaller companies, especially if if they're getting towards that $1 million mark. And I also do like to take on one pro bono client a quarter. And this is typically either a very, very early stage startup or nonprofit. And it's usually either an entrepreneur or a product or service that I'm really excited about, and often both, that I'm really excited about, and I just want to help them. The companies that I worked with, like you mentioned, they're very good at what they do. A lot of them are very profitable, and the CEOs want to do even better. They're interested in continuous improvement. They're interested in understanding their financials better. They're interested in looking for ways to become even more profitable. And that's another distinction. When you're starting out, you're all about the revenue. Get the next client, sell, sell, sell. But there comes a time in every business's life cycle where that focus shifts from revenue to profitability, which is what's really important for an established business.
That's so true. And I think a lot of new businesses starting out don't understand that. They think that they want to increase their revenue, but they're not always looking at what their bottom line is. The profit's so important. If you have good revenue and then you're spending like crazy and you're not, figuring out where that money is going, you're not going to have a profit. So those are two things that really need to be talked about. So that's great. That's really good information. So so this is so important to know. So what are some of the other points that you want to tell us about your company?
I work across industries. I do a lot of work with service companies, both white collar like architects and marketing agencies, and also blue collar service industries like concrete floor polishing. Whoever knew there was such a thing, but factories in Costco and Walmart and places like that. A body shop, a company that does building permit expediting. So a wide variety of service. I've also done a fair amount in manufacturing. And there's many manufacturers have a lot of room for improvement.
So when you work with a client, how much accessibility do they have to you?
It depends. I have gone, as far as being full-time interim CFO for a company. I prefer to work part-time, which means that I have 2 or 3 clients at a time and I'm working with all of them. But they can call me anytime. And my clients, even I tend to put away my phone weekends and evenings, but my clients always know how to get a hold of me. So those are the only emails or texts that I will respond to on an evening or a weekend is something from a client. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it can wait till Monday.
Yeah, there's usually no emergencies.
It's usually not an emergency. And many small businesses don't need a full-time CFO.
Right. That's great. That's good. So when they hire you, do they get you or do you have a team? How does that work?
They get me. They get me. I do occasionally subcontract some things, but that will typically be working with the subcontractor and then me also interfacing with the client.
So that's great. So that's why you have 2 to 3 clients at a time, so you can give them your undivided attention. That's what it sounds like anyway.
Yes, that's exactly right.
That's great. Yeah. So I guess you get so how long does a project really last? Like, how long do you work with somebody usually? What's the general?
Yeah, great question. I typically start with a 3-month engagement. It takes 3 months for me to really get my arms around all of their processes and all of the nuances in their business. And I often find some low-hanging fruit, things that we can fix very quickly and give them a great benefit. But during that 3 months, I have a diagnostic tool that I designed. We'll go through that. We'll look at their financial controls. We'll look at what's going on with their business and what their challenges are. We'll make a plan to address the challenges, both that I find and that the owner has outlined, and we'll start to address it. So that's in the first 3 months. And more often than not, my business owners will keep me on for another 6 to 12 months. Now, my goal is never to stay there forever. I don't want to stay there forever. I want to come in, clean up the messes, teach the business owner and his or her team what they need to know, and then set them free to thrive. And then go clean up the next mess.
That's great. That keeps your interest going too. You don't get bored when they don't get bored. Everybody's happy. That sounds great.
Absolutely. And I love teaching them. I love teaching the business owners the handful of things that they need to be paying attention to.
Excellent. So we're going to take a little break now, and then we'll come back and we'll talk some more, Judy. Hey there. I just want to tell you a little bit about my new book that just came out called Mastering Your Financial Life Cycles. And here it is. It's how to successfully manage your money in every decade of life. I co-authored this with my CFO, Liz Levy. And together we created this manual that's going to help you through every stage of life. We talk about having a baby. We talk about young adulthood, pre-retirement, what to do when you're at that age of retirement. If you're contemplating divorce, do you need an estate plan? We cover all of these, each subject in a different chapter. And I really think that you're going to find this so helpful, because at the end of every chapter, we have checklists that you can look at and you can use, and they can be a guide for you. So this is a wonderful manual that we've created. It's available on Amazon. You can also find it on our website at judithheft.com/book. And we're here for you. If you need anything, reach out. I hope you enjoy the book. Here's another picture of it, just so you know what's going on. Here it is. And I'm really proud of it. It's my second book. And I'd love to have you read it and give me your feedback. Judy Heft, judithheft.com, financial and lifestyle concierge, celebrating 26 years in business. And over the years, I've learned so much. And what I've been trying to do is impart a little bit of this knowledge to you, so I can help all of you become as financially organized as I am. And we're back with Judy. Thank you so much, Judy. So I just wanted to ask you a couple of other questions. So can someone try their services before they commit to you? How does that work? You know, they don't know you. You give them an initial consultation, I would assume. And how does that work? How do you do that?
I do an initial consultation. One of the things that I do a lot of with business owners is I will talk to them about anything they need to know about. Many times in the consulting business, people say, don't give away your knowledge. I don't subscribe to that. My line of where it stops being free is I will talk to a business owner multiple times, answer any questions they need answered. But when I start actually doing stuff, when I'm, building Excel models, or when I'm researching financing opportunities, that's when it starts to be a paid engagement. If it's just conversation, I don't charge for that. I give away a lot of templates. I gave away my startup budgeting template. I have a template for both ongoing businesses and startups to figure out how much cash you're going to need. I give away that. I give away free consults with that. How do you use it? What kinds of things to think about? All the time. I also have a ton of videos on YouTube and on my LinkedIn, so you can see who I am and see how I speak about things in plain English, and see if there's a connection there, because I think a lot of it is chemistry. There are a lot of people that do what I do. But business owners want to hire someone they're comfortable with. And sometimes that's me, and sometimes that's somebody else. And that's okay.
That's so true, Judy. That's great. That's so generous that you give so much free information out. I really admire that about you. And it's true. It's personalities. We hire people that we like and who we're comfortable with. It doesn't matter what the credentials are, how good they are at what they do. If there's no connection there, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
That's so true. So I had a question for you, and now it just slipped my mind. So when clients are working with you, do they also work with a business coach? Or is that a compliment? Or
sometimes? Yeah, business coaches are some of my best referral sources. Sometimes they're working with a business coach. They're typically, the clients that work with me are typically the type of person that would work with a business coach. They're the type of person that's looking for continuous growth.
They're open to suggestions and they're willing to do the work. I think some people hire coaches and people like you, and they want that person to do everything for them. They're not willing to do the homework, and there's homework involved. You have to work on it yourself if you want to get better.
Although I do roll up my sleeves and I get in there and I do a lot of work, which in my mind is the difference between consultant and coach. I can teach them and guide them, and I will also roll up my sleeves and get in there and figure out how to do an inventory count a little bit better and more accurately and quickly, for example.
That's great, Judy. You have so much to offer. I think GrowthCast sounds like a fantastic business, helping so many different small businesses with their cash flow needs, because like we talked about earlier, that's not always a priority when you start a business, and it should be. You really need to know what you're doing. You need to know what's coming in and what's going out every day. I take a look at all my bank accounts and my credit cards every day because I want to know what I'm doing, even though I might have charged it or wrote that check, but I still want to see it there just so I know what's going on. And I think you really need to pay attention. I think personally and professionally, a lot of people don't pay attention to their numbers.
Yeah,
and that's where you can help. It's so great.
Absolutely, and that can get them in big trouble. I worked with one business owner who was profitable, but because he wasn't paying attention, he was getting hit with thousands of dollars a month in bank fees. And the bank would clear the checks, but they would charge him. And it was just not necessary.
Yeah, that's bad. That's, they need someone to help them pay attention or train them to pay attention. That's so good. So how can our listeners find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out. Just mention that you saw me here because I get a lot of unsolicited requests. You can also find me on my website at growth-cast.com.
And on your website, and then do you want to put your email out there or any kind of a business number?
Sure. My email is judi.otton@growth-cast.com. There is a contact page on my email. And,
great.
Again, LinkedIn, just tell me where you found me and that you're not, pitching me social media services or something.
And there is a lot of that on LinkedIn these days.
A lot of that, yeah.
That's great. Yeah, so that's really important information. Well, Judy, thank you so much. This was a great conversation. And I hope our listeners learned a lot. I think they did, and I hope they reach out to you, and maybe you can continue to help more businesses. So lots of good luck. This was great.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Mastering Your Financial Life, hosted by Judy Heft. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, and sharing this show with others. You can read chapters of Judy's books and catch prior episodes of Mastering Your Financial Life at www.judithheft.com.